Hey guys, Coach here. Hey, welcome to our outdoor living series on the podcast and over on the channel. A two-part series reviewing and covering elements of an outdoor residential space, your landscape, and elements that actually amplify your landscape, amplify your enjoyment and pleasure from that landscape, and the actual talking about the accessories that make that all happen. I really appreciate you being here, so let's get started, shall we? Hey, right out of the get, this episode is sponsored by Spotix, parent company of Kickass barbecue grills and the Napoleon grill, the Napoleon 500 Prestige grill. We greatly appreciate their support and we'll cover more about this in just a little bit. Hey, this week we are diving into landscape elements that could be grouped as, shall we say, accessories or luxuries or wants and not really needs. But, if you take a look at it, not really. We're discussing important landscape elements that really improve your outdoor experience, comfort, and pride in home ownership. I'm talking about living spaces that allow homeowners to be outside, sometimes despite the season, certainly more than just the greenscape, the grass, plants, tree, and concrete. It's time to think to step up our game a little bit and reaching another landscape level altogether. First off, I want to make the impression on you that these elements are not mandatory for family enjoyment. Certainly not. They are the wants. Between the wants and the needs, these are the wants. They are optional features that can be installed all at once, if your checkbook allows, but in reality, it is more accumulated over time as resources allow. These things generally are not installed into a going to be here for a couple years type of house. These are, you're going to be there for 10, 15, 20 years. Kind of a forever house, but a very long time. You're going to raise the family there. You're going to establish and maybe complete a career there. And you're going to have some areas in the landscape that really enhance your enjoyment. These elements are certainly DIY friendly, or they can be hired out depending on your skill set and physical shape and determination level. Sometimes people just like having someone else do the things they want to do. So let's cover just a couple of them. We're going to start with one that's probably the most obvious in this, and that's outdoor kitchens. Kitchens in outdoor spaces can be as extravagant as your imagination wants to be and your resources allow. I think from a designer's point of view, getting the infrastructure in advance is just as important, if not more than, the construction and assembly of the area itself. Having to demolish an area or re-demolish an area to rebuild it later, it's kind of counterproductive and it only adds costs down the road and it's never going to be cheaper than yesterday. It also adds headaches to the end goal and the result. So my suggestion to you is if you think that an outdoor kitchen might be something down the road, maybe not today, maybe not next year, but maybe 5 years or 10 years down the road, when you're doing your landscape makeover, consider that end goal and put in some infrastructure ahead of time. And when I talk about infrastructure, I'm talking about Schedule 80, PVC, electrical conduit, maybe a gas line, has to go down a little deeper, and you can stub these things up in maybe the patio area or right at the edge of the patio area where the kitchen will probably go when it does go in. Also electrical, also something like drainage. In most kitchens, you're gonna need some water to it for a little sink maybe, and you're gonna need some plumbing to take away the sink waste, the gray water. Now, a lot of people that I have known and I have seen, they just stick a 5-gallon bucket underneath the sink and call it good, because usually in each cooking episode, they rinse off veggies, they rinse off their hands. They keep the area clean and use some water for that. So they had water coming to the kitchen, and they had a 5-gallon bucket. If you want to go that way, by all means. If you want to go a little fancier, you're going to be doing some trenching, and you can do it in a pit drain format. You can connect it up to your house sewer or septic system. Any way you want to do it, you can do it. Depends on where everything is in conjunction with everything else. Hey, elaborate or simple, it's going to be your choice. But face it, it sure makes for a great secondary gathering spot out there rather than the old traditional indoor kitchen area, which has always been the spot for company and family to hover in and around, kind of no matter what the season is. You go over to your brother's house for Janie's birthday, your niece, and everybody seems to congregate in the kitchen, at least initially, and then they kind of filter out. Well, oftentimes that's because we don't have any secondary entertaining areas, and that's what the outdoor kitchen kind of resolves. Now, for me, if I had the checkbook, as important as the grill, the fridge, the storage, the water, the sink, everything else, more importantly to me would be the comfort of that area. If you go plopping an outdoor kitchen out on the back patio and you're in a south-southwest orientation and it's 98 degrees out, I don't care how fancy your kitchen is, it is not going to be very comfortable to sit out there and enjoy, number one, cooking, and number two, entertaining people that might be standing around or sitting around, depending how your configuration is. People are going to want to be comfortable, at the very least in the shade. So consider when you're doing these kitchens, a top priority is comfort. And you can do that in a way that will protect you from wind, sun, rain, snow, whatever Mother Nature's throwing at you. And you do that by permanent patio structures over the patio itself. We'll talk about those in just a few minutes. But oh my gosh, being out there on a reflective concrete patio or paver patio and you have this high 90s, low 100s, you can be as used to the weather as you want, but that's not going to be very enjoyable with a cold beer in your hand or a Coke in your hand and you're trying to socialize. People are going to go, yeah, I need to be under the shade tree or I need to be in the air-conditioned house. So consider that permanent structure over your outdoor kitchen where it'll protect you. And to me, that's more important. So in the immediate kitchen area, shade, breezes achieved through overhead structures to various degrees of fancy, whatever you want. If you've ever checked out some of the HGTV series on decks and outdoor spaces where people have had unlimited checkbooks, it is amazing what some of those guys build. I mean, we're talking, you use the word deck or outdoor kitchen, and then you just put it on steroids. And it is a totally enclosed sliding glass track system that is literally almost just an extension of the inside of the house. But you can open it up to make it literally outdoors. And then you put all kinds of creature comforts in this. You put in mini splits, you put in infrared heaters, you put in fireplaces, you put in kitchens, you put in water features, all on a raised deck system that was just, I remember watching one in Colorado and my jaw dropped open. I'm going, this thing must be well over $500,000 or more. And I guess if you have that kind of money, man, you might as well do it right. Hey, going further with kitchen comfort, it's something if you want to do it on a more reasonable level financially, you can put in comforts like misting systems, which can be mounted on the structures overhead, and that will really do some microclimate cooling down. I've had one of those, and they really do a great job. You can put in, if you do have an overhead system, but maybe it's not waterproof, you can put in outdoor ceiling fans and stuff. You can put in even simple box fans of some kind that can just cross ventilate the area. Anything you can do to make it more comfortable. Now, with the bare bones outdoor kitchen and you don't quite have everything resource-wise to do all the structure, then maybe it's just a simple pergola. A simple pergola with whatever you have. You can put shade fabric up over the top of the pergola and protect it. You can do drop shades on the sunny side to where you can get some protection from the hot afternoon suns or even the wind. So don't just think the barbecue, don't just think the fridge. You have to think about what that weather patterns are for your area and how is it going to come to bear on this outdoor kitchen that you might be thinking about doing. Another aspect of the outdoor kitchen is if you want people to gather around, you better have a place for them to gather around. And that can be outdoor patio furniture and the ever popular bar seating right behind the kitchen part as it is, where people 4 to 6 seats can easily sit there and they can enjoy your company and the conversation and everything that goes along with it. And all of this can be done. It can be done on the cheap with structural wood type of stuff, or it can be done with hardy board and stucco. It can be done with tile. It can be done with bricks. There's quite a few different materials that can be used. The couple that I was involved in, one was a mail order US erector set that you had to put together and then finish off with tile or your choice of surfaces. But I didn't really like that very much. The one that I did like was more, you constructed it out of traditional stick lumber, you plywooded it, then you put on hardy board and some chicken wire and you stuccoed it really nice. You did a tile top on it, and those turned out reasonably well. I thought they were not very fancy, but they were super functional. And of course, some shade overhead to protect it from the Central Valley 100+ degree days. Now, if you don't have any bar seating in your outdoor kitchen design, consider at least chairs in the immediate area on the patio, which kind of lends itself to if you're designing this thing out, but maybe that kitchen isn't going in until 5 years down the road, make sure you design your patio big enough to accommodate this. Outdoor kitchens, even if you put them against a wall or something, take up a lot of room, and you have to design things there that are really going to work very, very well. So when it comes to the outdoor kitchen, don't forget the infrastructure again. Gas line if necessary, or a propane line, water, plumbing, drainage, and the electrical to go run the mini fridges or lights or whatever you might. Just don't forget those things before you break ground. And then cooking, seating, storage features, comfort, don't forget the comfort, are really, really high on the priority on install ideas. They really are. Hey, I want to take a brief break before we get into the second segment here and thank Spotix Napoleon Grills for sponsoring this podcast. We received a Prestige 500 Napoleon grill to review and look over, and I gotta tell you, you're listening to a guy who has always been a 22-inch Weber kettle charcoal griller for my entire adult life. I have never, in my 67 years, ever cooked on a gas barbecue, ever. Now, when these guys reached out to us, I told them that, and they said, you're exactly the type of person we want to try and impress. And boy, howdy have they. The Napoleon Prestige 500 grill, with its connectivity, it's literally connected up to Wi-Fi. Maestro is in seventh heaven with this thing. She loves it. The Wi-Fi connection and that kind of stuff, that's not as important to me as the functionality of the grill. And when we received it, it was a bit of an erector set to put together. But once together, talk about a well thought out appliance. You should go out and check out the Napoleon grills. They're out of Canada and they are taking the barbecue world by storm. Check them out at Kickass Grills or NapoleonGrills.com. Okay, let's talk about our second segment here, and we're going to really focus in on the structures. The things that I told you about in the first segment, now we're going to really dive into those things, not just for outdoor kitchens, just as important for, it's nice if you had a kitchen out underneath one of these things, but you don't have to. You can have a nice patio shade cover and have nothing to do with an outdoor kitchen, but it definitely has to do with outdoor comfort. And outdoor comfort not only when you're outside, but that structure oftentimes throws a nice shade shadow on part of the house, which can also help as far as cooling various parts of the house. Maybe your outdoor patio area beams in on the master bedroom, and it'd be nice to have a little shade shadow, or the kitchen, whatever it might be. Structures that are going to be installed out in the landscape, in the outdoor living areas, can be where you want to gather, but also you can use these structures out in the landscape itself too. It doesn't have to be just the outdoor living area. The whole goal to these structures here are adding protection from the elements. We talked about that a little bit, especially a solid overhead type of structure. The other thing is you don't have to, if you have a brand new place and you're doing fencing and other stuff, your structures don't have to stop at just the fill board level. You can put in taller posts and have them extend up 2 to 3 feet above the fill boards and have a nice pergola top of which you can run vines up and run vines across on the top of the fences that really, really looks slick. So think about fencing, think about outdoor living area, and then think about maybe the entry and exit of particular elements or vignettes of your outdoor spaces. Say like you have a patio area and then you walk down the walkway down towards your master bedroom. And the gateway to the master bedroom patio area has a nice pergola structure that you enter in or exit out of. And there you can have little downlights or climbing roses going up over it. And then on the master bedroom patio, you have a nice hot tub that you've decided to put in. So structures out there enhance the boldness and break up the monotony of just green grass and plants. It really adds a whole nother dimension and gives you that opportunity to be creative. And you can finish these structures in a number of ways. If you want to go au naturel, you can do that. Out west, we used to call it, back in the day when you could actually afford redwood, we had Monterey gray, the natural color that redwood wood actually turned if you didn't do anything with it. It would turn kind of a natural gray color. Some people liked it. I was not one of them. I thought that it made it look old and aged, so I used to seal it or stain it so that it would stay a clear seal or stain, so it would stay its newer color for as long as possible. In that particular case, I think structures have rolled over now away from redwood, and you have things more like Douglas fir, spruce, tamarisk. What else do we have? Doug fir, obviously. Those type of things, and then they are sealed and they stand up to the elements just as well as redwood did. So think about structures. If time and money allows, patio structures can be very simple to extravagant. And like I said in the first segment, oh my gosh, structures can be created that actually evolve into total enclosures outside. so that you extend your pseudo outdoor seasons almost 12 months out of the year. And if you have these sliding patio slider doors on tracks that open up a whole side of your outdoor area, your outdoor living area, and now you have, the out of doors right there at your beck and call. But in a cold November afternoon and you're going to watch the game, you can slide these things closed and then turn on the fireplace or put some logs on a fire, or you can have the elevated infrared gas heaters, and you can make yourself pretty comfortable as the turkey bowl kicks off. You got snow falling on the ground and you're out there with a cold beer and basic summer clothes. That's how fancy these structures can be. Now, I know that a majority of my listeners out there probably aren't at that level. I know I'm not at that level, but I have seen them, and I got to give you some kind of spark to your creative imagination flame to get going if this is where you want to go. It's easy to research it. It's easy to read up on it. And those particular structures, I'll tell you, at Weed Patch Ranch, I had a customer, and she was not a very nice customer. She really was not. And we had agreed to do super fancy fencing with 6x6 posts and top arbors up over the top of it with 2x8s and angle cut 4x4s. And it was fancy. As a matter of fact, I had a friend come over during the construction. He goes, "Oh my gosh, this fence is like Jurassic Park fence, spare no expense." And I told him, yeah, pretty expensive. Well, in the end, some HOA neighbor or somebody got this lady's ear, and she decided she didn't like the fence. She liked it when I put it up. She liked it when I finished it. She did not like it about 2 weeks afterwards. Long story short, I had to go pull that thing out, and she put up some bland stucco wall thing, which, okay, fine, and I had all this fencing. Well, instead of taking it to the dump, I took it home. And when Maestro and I were at Weed Patch Ranch and I was putting things together, I decided to use a lot of the lumber that I had bought and paid for. By the way, I had to reimburse her for the cost of the fence. I took it home and I made pretty nice pergolas. Pergola going out to the back vegetable garden, pergola going over towards the shop, pergolas on the north side of the house, walking by a rose garden. And you know something? They really looked good. And it took some of the sting out of the whole working for people thing, especially this lady. And it turned out okay. I used some of the fill boards and other things for fencing projects, and it turned out good. But my point is that pergola really, really made some impact statements out there in the backyard and the side yard. Very, very distinct. They were stained a solid brown color, and they held up really well to the elements while we were there. There was no problems with that. And they were built, timberlock screws, all kinds of, beefy material. And it was fun to put back together. I used, Simpson strong tie anchor straps, and they weren't going nowhere. That's for darn sure. So remember that these structures that go out there can be the whole backyard, or they can be statements in the backyard. And these statements enhance your enjoyment, your pleasure, the visual aesthetics of the backyard itself, or in some cases, the front yard. And you need to open up your mind just a little bit beyond just patio grass, a tree, and some plants, because there's a whole myriad of ideas out there. And some of them can be high ticket dollars. Other things you can create yourself. All you have to do is think about it. Hey, next episode that we have, we're going to jump off into some other luxury wants and items. Some that we've covered way in the distant past, and some we have not. And I hope you look for that next podcast coming out pretty soon, too. It won't be a full week. In any case, I appreciate you listening, and I hope you come back to visit when we have part 2. As always, to you guys' landscape success, again, thanks to Spotix, Kickass Grill Company, and the Napoleon Barbecue line. You should check them out. Got a link in the description below, and they're online as well. Appreciate your time. As always, to your landscape success. Bye for now.